there's pee in the dating pool. Right? Dating can be very difficult right now. I am an emotional intelligence and relationship coach, and so I hear stories from both sides, right? I've had guys tell me that they feel like their only purpose in a relationship is to provide money and sex. I've heard women talk about how there aren't any good guys out here. I've heard men talk about how there aren't any good women out here. Like everybody just wants, all these women just want to be kept, right? Like it's definitely, this dating climate is definitely difficult. And I think it's probably unlike any dating climate that we have ever seen. And I think that the climate is as such is for multiple reasons, but I'm going to make another video about that. That's not what I want to talk about here. Dating is just really difficult right now, right? So many people are online telling you what you should or should not do with your relationship. You are criticized if you want to split the bills 50-50. Men should pay for everything. Men should be flying you out. You shouldn't have to put out for a man to do for you, right? There's just so many opinions out there. And I think because of all of these conflicting opinions, it makes dating hard. So let me tell you the biggest problem with our current dating climate. The biggest problem is that nobody knows what a healthy relationship looks like for them. Let me explain. We have been moving away from what we know to be the standard for dating or relationships, where a woman is solely dependent on a man to provide for her financially. And unfortunately, sometimes as a result of that, she endured whatever experience he gave her. So whether that was him cheating, him being abusive, whatever the reason or whatever, the toxicity, she stayed. Right? But we have been moving away from that because women have become more independent. We are realizing that we don't have to endure, that type of treatment, especially since we can afford to pay for our own things, right? We're not financially dependent on a man, which means that we no longer have to accept those treatment, right? We won't be homeless. And so we are definitely starting to learn our worth. We are going to therapy. Peace is a priority, right? We don't want anybody to interrupt that peace, right? We aren't even staying at jobs that we dislike. We have been more willing now more than ever to accept a job that pays less just to make sure that you are fulfilled. And I get it, right? If you know anything about my story, you know that I walked away from a 6-figure salary because I was stressed out. And it ain't no way I'm going to let a man stress me out for free, right? And so I love this for us. I love that we are making our peace and our happiness a priority. But what that has come to is that since we have moved away from what we've always known as a culture, now everybody is lost, right? That's why we have so many people online telling you what you should or should not do with your relationship. And the problem is that you have to know what's healthy for you and what will work for you. We can't look to our elders, our grandmothers to tell us how to deal with relationships because the climate is totally different, right? We have different tolerances or intolerances, and we value different things most of the time. So now we are all out here trying to figure it out on our own. But the issue is so many people are not self-aware enough to know exactly what it is that they need in a relationship, right? And so what is very important, if you are going to have a healthy relationship, whether you're already in a relationship or not, you have to know what a healthy relationship looks like for you. Not one that society has dictated, not one that your parents or your grandparents have dictated. You have to be self-aware enough to know what you want and need in a relationship in order for you to build such a relationship, right? When you don't know what's healthy for you, this is when we get everybody that's so confused. This is why we have so many conflicting opinions out here. And so it is very important that you build a relationship that aligns with your own core values. So if you want to split bills 50-50, if you want to travel, if you want to live in a mansion, if whatever it is that you want, find somebody that is willing to do or thinks the way that you think, and y'all can coexist, right? Don't let anybody criticize what you do in your household. It's your household. I tell you guys this all the time, right? You shouldn't take relationship advice from other people. They don't have to live with the outcome, and they probably don't know the whole story. So don't allow somebody that is outside of your house to dictate what goes on in your house, right? It doesn't matter what society says. It doesn't matter if they say a man should pay for everything. Sis, if you want to go 50-50, split those bills, right? To hell what anybody else thinks, right? But what I want you to do is to make sure that you look at your list. Like, once you are aware enough and you know what your core values are, look at this list that you are looking for in a man, and really make sure that it's based on what you want and need. It aligns with your core values and not what other people are saying. So if you are saying that you want or need a man that makes 6 figures, is it that you really need him to make 6 figures, or you just need to feel financially secure? And so that so long as you guys are on the same page financially, right, y'all on the same level, right, he doesn't necessarily have to be above you, will that work, right? Is it that you really need somebody that's 6 feet tall, or do you just need to feel secure? Right? So make sure that as you are going through this list of stuff that you are looking for in a partner, that it is reasonable, that is actually based on what you need, not what anybody else is saying that you should have or that you should value, right? It's based on exactly what it is that you want and need in a relationship, right? And then you have to just find somebody that can give you that, right? And that is going to require you to be self-aware, to know who you truly are to your core. Forget what social media says. Forget who you present to be on social media. Like, at night when you're laying in bed by yourself, who are you? What is your love language? What type of relationship do you desire? Do you really want to get married, or is that just a goal because you see it on social media, right? What do you want your family to look like? Do you want children or not? Make sure you know what your core values are, things that are a priority to you. Do you want to travel? Whatever it is, then just find somebody that has those same values, right? And so the reason that you need to be self-aware is because you have to be able to articulate to your partner what it is that you want and need. I know that we see on social media sometimes like, oh, you shouldn't have to teach a man how to treat you. That is absolutely not true. If you saw one of the reels that I posted this week, I was talking about having to teach a man how to treat you, right? Anytime you meet a new guy, or, they ask often, like, do you like flowers? For me, I would appreciate if he bought me flowers, right? Because he thought about me. But I would be much more appreciative of French fries, right? I'm not going to be ungrateful that he bought me flowers, but I would enjoy the French fries a whole lot more, right? So you have to teach somebody how to treat you. And I think that this is something that's lost on a lot of people, especially when it comes to relationship. Everybody defines love differently. There's this theory called the attachment theory. And it's this idea that you form a relationship as an adult based on how you were loved as a kid in like the first couple of years of your life. So if you had parents or caregivers that were always there for you and comforting, you more than likely have a secure attachment style. So there's different attachment styles, and they can trace it back to how your parents or your caregiver cared for you at a young age. But what you have to realize is that everybody defines love differently. We get our definition of love based on, one, how we were loved as a kid, but then also how we've experienced love. So our past relationships, right? And so we're all the sum of our own experiences. And so we are all going to define love differently. Now, you have to find somebody who can speak your love language and you can speak theirs. You can't speak your own love language, because if I say something to you, matter of fact, let me do this for you. Let me demonstrate why it's important for you to speak your partner's love language and not your own love language.
我爱你.
Did you understand that? I'm gonna play it again.
我爱你，我爱你。
If you don't speak that language that I translated to, let's say that was my language. But if you don't speak that, it doesn't matter how many times I say it, you're not going to receive it. Same thing with your love language. If you aren't speaking your partner's love language, it doesn't matter how many times you say it or how you show it, they aren't going to receive it. And when you don't speak your partner's love language, when you're speaking your own, that's when you usually feel unappreciated, because you are doing all these things. Let's say your love language is acts of service, so you are, or gifts, right? You're buying your partner all these things because that's how you feel love. But if your partner doesn't like gifts, or that's not their love language, then them buying you gifts is not going to be, you're going to appreciate it, but it's not going to be as well received as it would if they speak your love language. Does that make sense? Everybody is going to define love differently in a relationship, but you have to make sure that you communicate to your partner what it is that you define as love. So for, let's say my guy grew up in a 2-parent household and he always saw his mom make his dad dinner every day and would make his plate. More than likely, my partner is going to equate that to love, right? If you love me, you will cook me food every day and make my plate, because that's what he saw growing up. There's nothing wrong with that. But you might not have had that experience. Or if it's my partner, for me, I might not have had that experience. What if I grew up in a single parent household so that there wasn't a man around to see my mom interact with him? Right? So there is no way that my definition of love would include making my guy a plate, or making his plate and serving him dinner every night, right? So it's not to say that either one of us are wrong, but we have to make sure that we are communicating our needs to each other, right? And so my partner would have to tell me that part of his definition of love is his woman cooking for him and making his plate. And then it's up for me to decide if I can speak his love language or not, right? So you have to make sure that you understand what you want and need in a relationship, right? You have to be able to communicate that to your partner. And you have to make sure that what you want and need is based on your own core values and not what society has dictated. Most women settle in relationships, right? That's why I came up with a program to help women become more self-aware and realize or know what a healthy relationship looks like for them, right? This is how you will be able to identify and avoid those red flags. And it will also help you to better evaluate a partner so that you can stop wasting your time on the wrong one. So if you are interested in my program, make sure that you subscribe to my email list or sign the waiting list if you are watching this after the program has happened. Comment below and let me know if you know what you want and need in a relationship, and if you know how to communicate that to your partner.